Welcome to today's explainer. Look, burnout is something we absolutely all feel, but figuring out how to actually combat it, well, that's the tricky part, right? The relentless deadlines, the suffocating schedules, the expectations that just keep climbing higher and higher. It's exhausting. But today, we're looking at the actual science behind everyday nutrition to see how we can reset our minds and bodies using precise nutritional blueprints. We're literally going to explore how we can transform our daily foods and drinks into biological weapons against stress. So, it begs the big question, how do we actually survive these everyday pressures? When you hit that wall of exhaustion, what's your go-to? A lot of us instinctively reach for a typical escape, maybe a sugary treat, a really strong cup of coffee, or a glass of wine. But what if we completely rethought our physiological response to stress? To fix it, we first have to look at what's actually happening under the hood. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. Decoding the stress mechanism, stress-busting fruits, the art of traditional tea, the non-alcoholic era, and finally, the science of kombucha fermentation.
Section 1. Decoding the stress mechanism. Let's transition into understanding the biological stakes here, because stress is so much more than just a fleeting mental state.
You see, the research shows that prolonged stress isn't just a feeling. It is a very real physical flood of hormones. Your body is basically being forced to continuously pump out cortisol and adrenaline. And the consequences of that? Your heart rate skyrockets, you find yourself tossing and turning with insomnia, your brain gets foggy, and your immune function is suppressed. The data shows that if left unchecked, your immune system and your cardiovascular system are going to rebel. We need precise biological tools to flip that switch and protect our hearts. And what's amazing is that those solutions, they might just be sitting right in your kitchen.
Moving right along to Section 2, stress-busting fruits. This is our first level of defense, using everyday items as highly targeted, natural biological capsules.
Now, what's really interesting here is how incredibly specific each fruit's superpower is. Don't just look at these as a sweet snack. They are literal biological capsules. Take the kiwi, for example. It contains a massive amount of vitamin C that goes to work instantly to crush those cortisol levels. Pineapple has an enzyme called bromelain, which acts as a completely natural muscle relaxant. Seriously, who knew you could basically eat your way to a massage? Then you have pomegranate, which deploys an army of polyphenols to protect your brain cells. Papaya utilizes vitamin B6 to boost serotonin, instantly lifting your mood. And finally, cherries are packed with natural melatonin, making them the absolute golden key for deep, restorative sleep. It's truly amazing how targeted these are.
All right, stepping away from the fruit bowl, we hit Section 3, the art of traditional tea. Let's look at how ancient remedies have literally soothed the human nervous system for generations.
Turns out, the secret behind the magic of fresh green tea all comes down to an amino acid called L-theanine. Research shows that this specific compound activates the brain to release serotonin and dopamine, the exact chemicals that immediately shut down anxiety. But here is the absolute best part. L-theanine gives you an incredibly deep sense of relaxation, but it doesn't make you sleepy at all. It stops anxiety dead in its tracks while keeping your mind both calm and remarkably sharp. It's basically the perfect biological balance. And then, of course, we have chamomile. If green tea keeps you focused, what's fascinating in the data is that chamomile acts as the ultimate biological off switch after an exhausting day. Drinking a warm cup pushes your serotonin and melatonin levels way up. It acts like a warm biological hug, slowly melting away muscle tension and paving the way for high-quality sleep. But it actually goes further than that. Chamomile is packed with flavones. These are powerful antioxidant warriors that clean up bad cholesterol, balance blood pressure, and create a protective shield for your cardiovascular system against the physical shocks of stress. Small, but incredibly mighty. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into the modern day, the non-alcoholic era. We're witnessing a massive Gen Z cultural shift right now. $11 billion. That was the market value of the non-alcoholic and low-alcohol beverage industry back in 2022. This is a massive cultural earthquake, particularly in the Asia-Pacific region. Instead of masking their stress with alcohol, people are actively seeking out mental clarity. We are seeing zero-proof bars being hunted down and matcha parties completely replacing traditional heavy drinking sessions. It really proves one thing. There is a huge collective craving out there for natural, sober healing. So what's the secret weapon driving this massive trend? Adaptogens. The easiest way to understand an adaptogen is to think of it like an automatic biological thermostat inside your body. When you are running hot, burning up from severe stress, it intelligently steps in to cool down your nervous system.
But on the flip side, if you are feeling entirely depleted and drained, it switches gears to warm you up and boost your alertness. It doesn't force your body into overdrive. It just intelligently adjusts everything back to a state of perfect balance. Let's just do a quick comparison here. We all know alcohol often provides a temporary, fleeting high, but biologically, the next morning usually brings a hangover and entirely drained energy. Adaptogens, on the other hand, like those found in modern brands such as Highwell or Peak mentioned in our source data, actively recover your physical strength. They recharge your energy, soothe your mind, and even boost your immune system. Swapping out the toxic crash of alcohol for adaptogens is quite literally a profitable investment in your own health. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the science of kombucha fermentation. This is the fascinating intersection where ancient tradition perfectly meets precise modern food science. At the heart of kombucha is what's called a SCOBY. That stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Now, I know it might look like a weird rubbery pancake, but it is actually a literal microfactory that pumps out billions of probiotics. These microbial warriors go straight into your gut, strengthening your digestive system, detoxifying the body, and stabilizing your metabolism and blood pressure. And remember, a healthy gut is the absolute foundation of a healthy, uplifted spirit. But brewing it perfectly requires extreme precision. 72 hours. According to academic analyses of Oolong kombucha, this is the exact golden window. At exactly 72 hours of fermentation, this drink hits its absolute peak. The flavors are perfectly balanced, and the probiotics are at their absolute maximum density. Right before the whole batch turns into sharp, sour vinegar that loses its biological value. So, the crucial point is getting this recipe down to a literal science. Scientists have measured this out meticulously. You need exactly 2 grams of oolong tea, 20 grams of sugar, precisely 5% SCOBY starter, and a controlled pH of right around 3.5. This exactness ensures the fermenting bacteria work at maximum capacity. But why oolong tea specifically? Because oolong possesses unique properties that actually burn excess fat and optimize lipid metabolism. When you combine oolong with the fermentation process of kombucha, you get the ultimate dual-action stress reliever. It soothes nerves that are stretched to their limit while simultaneously turbocharging your metabolism. How cool is that? This brilliantly illustrates our entire journey today. Looking at this whole landscape, we've gone from the highly specific, stress-crushing properties of everyday fruits to traditional teas, the massive modern adaptogen trend, all the way to the precise science of brewing kombucha. It's a complete toolkit of natural, nutritional solutions designed to improve both your mental and physical health. We've explored a massive arsenal of natural biological weapons today, so I want to leave you with this question. What are you going to choose to drink tonight? Will you reach for that stressful late-night coffee or that temporary glass of wine, or will you swap it out for one of these powerful natural tools? A single small change in the glass you hold can be a giant leap forward for your mental health. Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time as we continue to break down the science of everyday life.